All right, today we got two vehicles that they don't make anymore for completely different reasons. They're completely different vehicles, but it's quite an interesting story. We're going to start with this 2000 Oldsmobile Bravada. In its day, this was the luxury SUV of GM. Basically, they were rebadged Blazers later on. GM made them, of course. And it was the top of the line. You can see this one is Smart Track. It's all-wheel drive. They've had it for like 14 years. They stopped in 2004 because GM shut down Oldsmobile. But let's face the facts. The last real Oldsmobile was 1909. GM bought it then, and they just used it for selling their fancy vehicles, right? So this was the top line version of the GM SUV. It's not like Oldsmobile existed for a long time. It's a GM product. And 2004, GM said to Oldsmobile, so they don't make them anymore. But as a used vehicle, hey, might be a pretty decent vehicle, right? Guy picked it up for around $3,000 a couple of years ago, so you can't really complain about that. And oil pan gasket put on because it was leaking oil. But interesting enough, the engine does not burn oil to this day. Got a relatively dependable 4.3 liter V6 engine. No turbo, no GDI. Pretty simple stuff. If you take care of them, they can last quite some time. And strange enough, the AC still works. Still got the original compressor on it. They had to put some hoses and stuff on it, but even that's still working. As you see, a lot of parts are still completely original. Of course, not the battery. It's got AutoZone battery in it. But all-wheel drive, it's got one big problem. It's a gas hog. On a good day, you might get 14 miles a gallon in this thing. They are gas hogs. But that said, it's been a gas hog for 173,000 miles, so you can't argue. Here it's got the usual leather seat cracks and stuff, you know. The back seats are pretty good. It probably didn't have a big family. Has a pretty dependable transmission. We'll start her up. And, hey, the dash is still in good shape, faded a little, but it's not cracked or anything. Oh, he's young, so of course he put a good radio Bluetooth system in it. It didn't come with that, but, you know, it's got dual climate controls. Realize, this was a luxury vehicle in its day, hence the leather seats, even the leather shifter here. Power windows, power door locks, real brake. Not one of those electronics because it's old, less things to break, right? It's even got a wiper in the rear, a button for the rear hatch, you airbags, decent glove box. It has a compass that you can go U.S. or metric temperature. We use a lot of salt in Virginia. It's held up pretty well. You can see the tow hook has superficial rust, but it's still solid as can be. But you know, the wheel wells aren't eaten up. Now sure, the alloy wheels have seen better days, but you could polish them or paint them, whatever you wanted to do. And the plastic's a little faded, but like I said, it hasn't rotted away. So let's hook up a scan tool, see what's going on inside. If it just plugs in here in the OBD port, because it's a 2000. New tool I'm trying out, a Launch X431 Power Pro 3, Power Pro 3S Plus Elite. And we'll push the start button. Here we go, and we'll see what shape this thing is in with 170-something thousand miles on it. We'll do intelligent diagnosis. Connected to the VCI, it's reading the VIN. Now, it's a 26-year-old car, so it takes a little while to decode stuff. And look, it can do a topology scan, so here we go. We're going to scan the whole thing. While it's scanning, we'll look around. The sun visor's still working. Look, even back in the day, it was a luxury car. It had the extenders on it. It even had OnStar at one point in time. We got no problems at all, so hey, let's look at some live data. We'll start her up. Nice rolling idle. Ignition system's working good. That's 13.7 volts. Long-term future in Bank 1, it's adding a little fuel, 3.1%. But Bank 2, it's perfect. It's running perfectly. So it's adding a little fuel on Bank 1. It probably has a little vacuum leak somewhere. Not that big of a deal on an old car like this. Yes, airflow is stable. Adding 0 on Bank 2. But then it changes a little 3. It goes up and down. On an old car like this, you're going to expect some vacillation. Now, with a car at 173,000 miles, this thing's pretty good. So let's take it for a spin. Oh, here we go. Start her up. Of course, this baby's not going to have a backup camera, I can tell you that. It's got a rearview mirror. Works just as good if you know how to use it. Idle's like a dream. Hey, this thing is 26 years old, 170 something thousand miles on it, and it still idles like a dream. Goes over the big bump and yeah, it bounces around a little. Shocks are pretty old on this thing, but it still goes pretty straight down the road. What's up here? Something's in the road. What is that? Vultures! Vultures in the road. 2 of them. Some kind of a sign? I don't know. Gotta say, so far it handles pretty good for an old vehicle that he paid $3 grand for a couple of years ago. Mind you, his father was a mechanic, so he found it for him. And the guy, he obviously knew what he was looking for. Here we go. We'll give it a little gas. Listen to that. Still runs great. At 4.3 liter V6, it's got plenty of power. But unfortunately, the best it's going to get is about 14 miles a gallon. Yeah, they're gas hogs. There's nothing you can do about that. Still runs pretty good. Corner's good. No real suspension play in it. Hey, back in the day, GM was making decent vehicles, like I say. This is a 2000. I'd say GM stopped making good vehicles maybe 2001, 2002. This thing is still pretty solid. I have no problems climbing up the hill. I gotta say, his father's a pretty smart mechanic. $3 grand for this thing 2 years ago. It's still a real solid vehicle. Well, we'll fire the mail truck. Going to the old neighborhood here. I wish this thing is in a lot better shape than that old mail truck. But this thing's so high up in here, that with all-wheel drive, we don't even have to slow down all that much over the big bump. We'll just come flying in. So look at me, I must be turning into an old man. I like this Oldsmobile, right? Hey, yeah, he doesn't put all that many miles on it, so the 14 miles a gallon gas mileage isn't that big of a deal to him. He's not driving cross-country in a thing. Back in 2000, it's a pretty solid vehicle still today. Hasn't rusted out, doesn't burn oil. AC still works. So, even though they don't make them anymore, and of course, they really couldn't make them anymore because they can't sell vehicles that get 14 miles a gallon. They get penalized too much. But if you don't care about the gas mileage, you can find one of these still rolling along that's in a shape like this. Hey, snap it off, if only for a hunting vehicle or a second vehicle or a vehicle to pull a bunch of crap around with. Hey, it was luxury in its time. Now it's just a practical all-wheel drive vehicle. Now here's number 2, a vehicle they don't make anymore. I'll tell you why they don't. This is a 95 Toyota Previa. People either loved them or hated them. I guess the Crow didn't particularly go for it, but hey, what does he know? Now, they made these for like 17 years. They stopped selling them in the United States because they replaced them with the Toyota Sienna. A lot more horsepower, right? But they still sold these things for another 10 years in the rest of the world. So people like these things. The one in 95 is quite interesting because not only is it the all-track, so it's got all-wheel drive, but believe it or not, this baby is supercharged. So the supercharged has got like 161 horsepower. Not that much for a supercharger, but it beats 130 or so for the non-supercharged ones. The main reason, well, there's 2 main reasons they stopped making these. One is they were too slow for Americans. Americans want stuff with more power, especially if they're going up mountains, racing around, you know, going at highway speeds. They wanted more power. And number 2, things just cost too much money to manufacture because the engine's hiding in here in the middle. But as we look under the hood, it's got a very interesting aspect to it. Yeah, you look in here, you see the power steering, the air conditioner, the alternator. Look at a little flashlight, now you can see it better. See, it's all down in the front here. And of course, then they put sliding doors on both sides, not just one side. This has got the one side. You can see the paint's a little faded. It lived in Las Vegas for a while. The sun kind of beat down on it, but I mean, hey, it's still going down the road. Now this thing's got 1/3 of a million miles on it. Doesn't burn any oil. These were solid built vehicles. There's no one arguing that. Now, they could be a maintenance pain because the engine's in the middle. You got to take the seats out to get the spark plugs, yada, yada, yada. But they are really solid built. It's just, they were so solid built, they cost too much money to build. And in the Siennas, of course, everyone's dying to get the Siennas now. Plus, with the hybrid Siennas, hey, you can get close to 40 miles a gallon. This thing, not so much. Because this thing only gets 15 miles a gallon in town. He can get, say, 24, 25 on the highway. Yeah, if he drives conservatively, realize this is a supercharger on it. You step on the gas, whoop, the gas mileage goes down. But pretty much Toyota reliability. You can see this is one of the early Toyotas that used the R134A. instead of using the R12 refrigerant. Now, as we look around, we'll take a look at the sticker. As you can see, this baby's made in Japan. That is probably why it has lasted so long. Now, just like the Sienna, a lot of space in these babies. Now, of course, the Sienna's got a little more space, but still, it's a serious 3-row vehicle. And these cloth seats, baby, hey, they might be 21 years old, but they've held up quite well. Now you can see it still has the original Toyota hubcaps. On the right side of the vehicle, yeah, they're a little faded away, but you can only see one part of the car at a time, right? There's another original one, and here's a replacement white one. No one knows what's going on here, but you do want to have hubcaps to keep stuff off of the lug nuts, you know. And you can see, of course, the plastic, it always fades like that. You can do it over with black if you really want to. The main thing is, these things are great transportation devices. And since it's a 95, guess what? It actually has, dun, 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 an OBD2 plug. Let's see if it works. So here goes nothing, all right? We'll plug in the OBD plug. It fits. It's lighting up, so it's working. Sometimes 95s can be tricky, so let's see. And I know it's not going to do auto ID because it's too old. So we'll go to Toyota, standalone diagnosis. This does worldwide, so it should be on here. Look at all the different models they make, it's insane. And it's a 95, it's got that on it. Here we go. Let's see if we can read anything. Okay. There it is. It doesn't do a topology scan. This is a topology. The ECM is the only one that's in it. So, here we go. Look, it's actually scanning. I'm shocked. What do we have? No fault code. So, let's start this baby up. It's scanning the system now, but it's so old, unfortunately, it will not do live data. Well, it doesn't have any trouble codes, it doesn't have any problems. It does that, but these old ones, you're not really going to get live data off of them. It also has the old style OBD1 port, so let's try that. We're going to use this launch scan tool. It has an adapter kit with all of the different adapters. This one is a TA22 adapter. It's a 22 pin. So we're going to use that. We'll see if it'll read data stream or not. It's 1992 above because it's a 95. And even this won't read the data stream. Just a lot of companies like this launch, they promise you stuff that doesn't work. All right? The OBD didn't work. A lot of times they won't on a 95, but the OBD1 is supposed to work, and it just won't. Now, the Autel showed there were no codes, but it can't read the live data because on this 95, you can't get the live data through any of the systems. You would have to have the Toyota factory scan tool, and that thing's so old, I'm sure the Toyota dealers don't even have them anymore. Previous owner gave him the Toyota Previa Haynes. These Haynes manuals are insane. It's a shame old man's Haynes is dead because these things were phenomenal. Based on a teardown of each individual car, they're great. Now it's digital, not so great, but for this old thing, and it's as good as gold. So we know it's got no trouble codes. It's running pretty good. So let's take it for a ride and see how that supercharger works. So of course, it's got a real handbrake, none of this BS electronic stuff. It has the usual frayed Toyota seat belts. They do that when they age on these old ones. So here we go. Of course, no backup camera, just like the Bravado. We gotta look out the back this time. What do I notice? Okay, let's look at speedometer. 334,344 miles. Idles like a dream. These things were overbuilt. They really were. Now we're going over the big bump. I'm not going to go too fast and chance an old car, but it made it over. Now, the transmissions in these things are pretty much bulletproof. I've never ever seen one break, and that says something. I used to work on a whole bunch of these things. It works, get a little worn out, just like the rest of the vehicle, but hey, it's tracking straight. It takes the bumps somewhat. It's got a big enough wheelbase that it can handle the bumps without being too bad. So here we go to the top of the hill. And there's a modern Toyota. Look at that. Like the paint job, gotta say. Better than the paint job on this one. They learned a few things. So let's check out the supercharger. Here we go. Makes a lot of noise. And it does pull the vehicle. It certainly doesn't throw you back in the seat, let me tell you that. Let's see, can it still corner? Yes, it can. Now, yeah, they stopped making these, but mainly because they didn't have enough power even with the supercharger, and they cost too much money to make. Now, it's not like this thing can't climb hills, it'll go up the hill. It's just that they didn't have the power that most Americans wanted. It only cost them $4,500. Yeah, it's got a lot of miles, but I've these things 500,000-600,000 miles, no problems at all. And since this baby came from Vegas, guess what? It doesn't have any rust. It's awful dry out in Las Vegas. And like the owner said, look, here's the field of view inside this thing. You see everything. You're not gonna miss anything. So there you have it, the second of two cars they don't make anymore. But hey, gotta say, they both were decent. Of course, this one's got 330,000. Third of a million miles on it. It's still running this good, right? And even with a supercharger, it's somewhat underpowered. But that's not the point. They stopped making them because they didn't have the power, but they cost too much money to build too. Now, when they stopped selling in the United States, they still sold in the rest of the world for another 10 years. So a lot of people like these vans. I know people in England that love them, people in Australia that love them, because they're pretty much, with just a tiny amount of maintenance, indestructible vehicles. If you could find one like this, especially one from the desert west like Las Vegas with no rust at all, I'd say snap it off, because even if you get tired of it, you can have a mountain of people waiting to buy the thing if it runs as good as this thing does. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.